Today, we're going to be talking about hyperautomation. So this Lunch and Learn, of course, is sponsored by Assurance IT and Sentinelone. For those who've been to these Lunch and Learns before, it's a highly technical session where you're going to see the tools, see the solution in action, and see some real-life examples of how it can help you and your business. Today, the special guests of our show are going to be William Mayo, who's the Sentinelone Paladin working with Assurance IT, and Nick Jaldevi of Sentinelone, a senior solutions engineer. Two of the top Sentinelone experts in the country, if I may say so. So we're glad to have them on the phone. Thanks for taking the time out of your day, guys. I'll take this opportunity to remind everyone on the call here. I love doing this because it's a really proud moment for me. But Assurance IT was named the International Partner of the Year 2025 for Sentinelone. So I think that's a big testament to our abilities here. The entire team investing in the Sentinelone solution, helping our customers. Not only here locally, but also south of the border as well. So we have a pretty big client base. So when you're talking about Sentinelone and the deployment, the maintenance, and the operations of it, Assurance IT can definitely help you with that. What you're going to see today, you're going to see how hyperautomation cuts through alert fatigue with the intelligent response. Like I said earlier, you're going to see some real-world examples. William's going to show you that, streamlining your threat detection and response. So you're going to see some automated actions helping you with that, how to customize automation to fit your specific environment. And then, of course, seeing all this, you're going to understand why Sentinelone today is leading the charge when it comes to autonomous cybersecurity. We're using the term autonomous SOC more and more. A lot of customers are trying to do more and reduce that mean time to resolve when it comes to alerts. And you're going to see how that's happening today. Quick agenda. Obviously, you got the introductions that are happening. I'd like Nick to do a quick overview from his side to explain the solution a little bit, how it's helping customers. Then we're going to dive deep into a demo with William. We'll turn that over to Q&A. Please, we encourage questions and answers. If there's any questions that we can't answer today on the call, rest assured that the team will get back to you with those answers. And then, of course, the exciting part of today's event is the raffle and the draw at the end. So again, appreciating your time that you're taking out of your day to be here, and of course, enjoying this Lunch and Learn. So Nick, I'll pass it over to you. If you want to just give a quick overview.
Sounds good. Thanks, Luigi. I'm going to just share my screen here quickly. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So before I get started, I just want to, quickly introduce myself. I am Nick Jaldevi. I am the Senior Solutions Engineer here at Sentinelone. I am in charge of taking care of our good partners like Assurance IT and making sure that they are enabled with everything Sentinelone. I also have, I joined Sentinelone about, I'd say 10 or 11 months ago now. I'm coming up to my 1 year in October here. But prior to that, I was at another partner, and I was actually working with Sentinelone for many, many years, so like 4 or 5 years. And I was actually a Paladin myself. As Luigi just mentioned, William is a Paladin of Sentinelone, and I have the great honor of actually leading the Paladins here in North America. So just a little bit of overview on the Paladins for you is the Paladin certification is the highest level of certification at Sentinelone. We have about 140 globally and about, I'd say approximately 8. And Assurance IT has 2 of those and a third one coming very, very quickly as well. So they're our go-to partner, as Luigi mentioned. They're the International Partner of the Year for 2025. They've won other awards with Sentinelone in prior years as well. But we really look to Assurance IT not only for helping our customers, but helping them with implementation, with managed services, things like that. So they're our kind of one-stop shop at everything Sentinelone, not just hyperautomation, but when it comes to EDR, cloud, AI SIM, and the work. So I just wanted to take some time and to give you some overview on the Paladins as well. So for the purpose of this demonstration, we wanted to start with just some overview of what Singularity Hyperautomation can do for you and your environment. So we know the security landscape and some of the SOC challenges and security operations teams are facing some challenges, right? Limited resources, you can't get up at night, or sometimes you're on call. It's hard to go through all of these alert queues and make sure that you really have your finger on the right alerts and looking through the detections properly, prioritizing them as well. Some of the manual workflows that we work through when it comes to, hey, alert came in, now I gotta ping so and so, or I need to go and do some manual detection or threat hunting, and then also go and remediate or mitigate some of these threats that come in. And then also to complexity. So there's a lot of different tools that come into play, like firewalls, EDRs, all of this different kinds of security tools that we have in our environments. So some of these challenges really become complex, and it's tough to deal with them on a daily basis. But with Singularity Hyperautomation, we can connect everything. So think of Singularity Hyperautomation as your SOAR 2.0, right? So we have a ton of different integrations, not just Sentinel-1, but we have our Oktas, we have our Fortinets, we have a ton of different integrations that we built in to build templates, to build workflows, and start really automating some of the threats that are coming in, or different use cases that you might have in the environment. So, we can accelerate those responses and then boost the efficiency as well. So, at night when there's a threat that comes in and we have a hyper automation workflow that's in place, well, you can continue sleeping at night because you know that workflow is going to help you and it's going to do the things that you needed to do fast in a scalable automation fashion. Lastly, before actually have a couple more slides, but this is really the Singularity platform that we have, and it all powered by Purple AI, right? So at the next level, you'll see hyper automation, where we do a lot of that that SOAR 2.0, that automation for AI SIM, for endpoint, for cloud, and all of the different types of technologies that we have in our stack. So again, I mentioned some use cases here. We have a ton of use cases. I don't think we even have started to think about all the other types of use cases that you could do with hyper automation, but these are some of the really top ones that our customers are looking at today, right? Endpoint threat mitigation is a huge one. So when a threat comes in, what can we do? Can we automate the quarantine and the kill and the rollback remediations? Identity access. So if there's a type of threat that comes in, then some type of ransomware, can we go to an Okta and maybe just lock that user access? So we can do these types of things from an automated use case perspective, and really help our customers get to working with their playbooks and putting them into an automation, which is Singularity HA. So with that, I'm going to leave it here. If there's any questions, please put them in the chat, or just feel free to come off mute and let us know. But I'm going to give it over to William, and he's going to be giving us a demo of hyper automation.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
All right,
perfect. Thank you. So as Nick was saying, right, we can automate so many things with hyper automation, whether it be O365 login failures. I've done this with a client very recently where we were receiving a bunch of failed logins on their O365 tenant. We wanted to either geofence it or maybe, post some actions against it. A big example of that is, let's say I get more than 100 failed attempts in the last hour by a specific IP. Maybe I can go to Microsoft and just say, well, completely block this IP, right? We can block it at the either firewall level on the O365 tenant. Maybe it looks like a failed login has transferred over to a successful login. So if we don't have MFA or strong password policies, right, those brute force attacks will eventually lead to that password being compromised. So we want to make sure we're capturing those, right, ingesting the data. And then, of course, posing action. So maybe we want to do something like, well, reset the password for the user account. maybe end the user session across the board as well, right? So many things, so many different possibilities with hyper automation. Another one I did recently has to do with firewalls. So we were receiving a lot of threats on that specific tenant on the EDR side, so on the endpoints, and we were seeing that this particular malware group was always connecting to a dynamic IP or a static IP that was online. So what about automating that, right? How about we look at the data, we see that there's a couple IPs that are recurrent. Well, Sentinel-1's able to just grab that information and push it out to either your FortiGates, your Meraki's, your Arubas, anything, right? We can push that out and block that IP outright so no one else gets compromised within your network. So, as I said, so many different things that we can do. In our use case for today, we'll just be showing you how we can build your own, MDR service-ish. Of course, I wouldn't recommend just leaning fully on that, but this is just an example, right? So right now I do have a VM. I did deploy some malware on it. So we see here resistance is futile. What I'm going to do here right now is I'm going to double click and I'm going to let it run. We can see, right, Sentinel-1's detecting it. It's going to do its thing. I did set the Sentinel-1 policy as being detect mode only. So it's only detecting, it's telling us about it, but it's not going to pose any actions against it, right? This is just for demo purposes. But I'll be showing you what information Sentinel-1 already gives us about alerts and how we can automate that using hyperautomation. So the first thing here that I usually like to do, right, is look at the alert and try to get a bit more data around it. So we can see resistance is futile, detected as a ransomware. So it's just a question of clicking on this. Now, if you do have Purple AI as well, you'll get a nice alert summary here telling us what's going on. So we can see it's currently unmitigated, it is critical, and we are currently classifying it as ransomware. You can see it's a new alert, it's not assigned, and it's not defined. So Purple AI, just real quick, is going to give us a quick briefing to understand what's going on. So already we're saving a bunch of time. We don't have to go through a full-on investigation. Purple AI already did that for us. So we'd see, right, critical security incident involving the executable, which has been flagged as ransomware, right? It's going to tell us that we see a lot of patterns in terms of persistence, file behavior, etc., right? So a lot of stuff in here. Now, the second thing I usually do during an investigation is going to be looking at VirusTotal using the SHA-1 here. So SHAs are unique to every single file, and we can look at those through VirusTotal. Now, we do see we're adding a bunch of stuff here. It's just because it's still running in the back end, so we're adding stuff as we go. But just by clicking VirusTotal here, I can get a quick idea of what other vendors think about this specific threat. In this case, right, 61 out of 70 vendors have said that this is malicious. So that's quite a lot of people. So how about we automate that so that as soon as, let's say, we have more than 10 vendors saying that this is malicious, how about we automatically mitigate it and get rid of that threat, right? Just so we can really focus on triaging the little threats that we're not too sure whether or not they're true or false positive. Right, we want to hit the low-hanging fruit first. In this case, right, it's very obvious that this is a true ransomware attack. Just going back to the old computer, we can see everything has changed, right? All our important files have been encrypted. Now, the way VirusTotal works here is by using the hash that we have. So we see it starts with 20, ends with 89. We have it here. In this case, it's the SHA-1, but if we go down to the SHA-256, we should have it as well. So in this case, let's take a look at hyperautomation and how we can do this. Now, straight from the get-go, we have this button automate. This would be for one specific type of threat. In our case, right, I'd rather automate every threat. I'd rather englobe pretty much everything. I don't want to do specifically for resistance is futile. So let's just go down to hyperautomation. Now, as Nick was mentioning here, we have a bunch of different integrations. So of course we have our top ones, right? Sentinel-1, VirusTotal, Desk, but we have a lot more in here, right? Abnormal security for email security. So maybe we received something by email. Maybe Abnormal wasn't able to stop it, unfortunately. So it went through to the EDR, and then Sentinel-1 detected it as being a ransomware. Maybe we can go back to Abnormal and say, this is malicious. create a block list for that. Or maybe, right, we can say we'll completely block it outright so that no other users will ever receive that email. So you can really use tools together and combine them to create something bigger and nicer, right? Whether that's a ticketing system, your Jira's, AWS, right? We can manage resources as well. So if you want to start doing your own, infrastructure as code within hyperautomation, you can do that as well, right? As soon as a threat is detected, maybe kill the EC2 instance and start a new one using this specific template, right? There's so many things that we can do here. So let's just create a new automation and let's click on workflows. In this case, we're going to create a new one. I already have one created in this case, which is, right, it's blank here. So let's just click on this. So Singularity response triggers. There's multiple different triggers that we can have, whether that's every 30 seconds. Do we want to wait for a specific action? Do we wait for XDR data coming in from O365, SharePoint? It could be anything. In our case, Singularity response trigger just means it's within Sentinelone. It's an EDR alert, or it could be other products within Sentinelone. It could be identity, it could be the cloud piece, could be the mobile even. So anything Sentinelone is going to be a Singularity response trigger. Now, in our case, right, we don't want to filter on everything, so let's be a bit more specific. In my case, I want to get an alert where it is unmitigated, so we don't want to push out mitigation actions to events that have already been mitigated. So let's just go over to mitigation status. That works for me. So it equals, or let's say it does not equal to mitigated. So let's just real quick test this action, see if we're receiving any data. So we can see here, Logbit ransomware detected as malware. It's unmitigated, it's new, right? And we can see even the data as well. So this was very recent. This is UTC, by the way, which is why it's a bit different. And we can see a bunch of information about that specific file. Now, there's a couple of things here that we might want to pick up on. The main one, right, being the classification of Sentinelone, what it thinks it's doing. In our case, right, the classification is malware and the confidence level is malicious. So let's just create a condition here. So as soon as Sentinelone thinks it's malicious, let's start doing our workflow and start understanding what's going on there. So just a question of clicking that simple button here. We have many other different actions here. These are just pre-made ones. And we even have a full-on catalog with all the different integrations that we saw previously. So in our case, let's just do a condition. So I want to see, how is it called here? Let's just go back and let's see confidence level. Let's just copy that. And we want it to be, we want to tag for malicious. So it's just a question of opening two brackets and we can see everything within our workspace. So we said it was the classification, if I remember, confidence level. So let's just start writing confidence level. Automatically, it picks it up, Singularity response trigger, data.confidence level. That's perfect. So we just go back, we can see it was tagged as being malicious. Perfect. So let's write malicious and let's test it out. It returns true, which is perfect for us. So a new threat that comes in, if it's malicious, we do something with it. If it's not malicious, we do something else, right? In our case, we want to filter by true. So let's go true. And now what might we want to do, right? Maybe we'd want to open up a Zendesk ticket. Maybe we want to open up a Jira ticket. It could be anything, right? In my case, I'm going to skip the ticketing system just because it's a bit harder to demo. But let's just go straight to VirusTotal and see what VirusTotal has for us in terms of information. Just a question of writing get file analysis from hash. Oh, that's the wrong button. Give me a second here. I clicked on the wrong one. Let's just get file analysis from hash. Give it a couple seconds. Perfect. And we can see I already have my connection in place. You can have a dynamic connection as well if you have multiple different accounts, or maybe you want to connect to multiple different Sentinel-1 consoles, right? So maybe you're an MSSP, you want to connect to all your different tenants one at a time. You can have many different API keys with different connections as well. Now in our case, right, I'm going to go VirusTotal/API/v3/file, which is pre-populated for us, right? VirusTotal, we've built the integration in the backend. It's just a question of clicking on it and we're good to go. Now we can see here, it's already picking up the SHA-1. Let me just change that real quick just to make sure it's the correct one. Yeah, that was perfect. And then we don't have to change anything else here. It's just a question of testing the action and seeing what it returns for us. So we can see it's been a success, and we'll also see a bunch of different information that it's giving us. So in this case, right, it's going to give us all the information from every single vendor telling us what they think about it, right? Malicious, malicious. At the bottom, the good thing here is that we also have a count. So if I go all the way down, we'll notice there's a count for all vendors. It is at the bottom, so it is a bit hard to know. There it is. So last analysis stats. In this case, 23 are saying it's malicious, unsupported 13, right? This is for that specific file. It's not the exact same one as this one, just because as I click through or executed the ransomware, it did execute multiple different files. So we're just picking up on a single file in this case. So it might be a bit different, but right, it would iterate through every single threat in our case. So let's create another condition, but for that. So first things first, I want to make sure that it exists. So I want to create a new condition. I want to see if this returned a success. So I'm going to look on the status code. So status code, I want to make sure it's a 200, which means that this is a file that exists within VirusTotal, right? Because sometimes VirusTotal might have never seen this hash. Maybe it's a brand new one. In this case, right, if it returns false, maybe we'd want to upload it through the API. So VirusTotal does a full investigation, and then we can pick up on the results and push an action. In our case, right, we're just going to go through a scenario where VirusTotal already knows the file hash, but as I said, we could easily upload it through the API. Now, as we were seeing here, so let's go by true. And in this case, what do we want to do? We want to check whether the vendors within VirusTotal were saying that this is malicious. So we'll just add a new condition, and we can rename things here, right? We don't have to just leave it as such. So in this case, right, file exists within VirusTotal. So at least it's a bit more clear. And then here, let's say more than 10 vendors malicious. There it is. Easy as that. Now, let's look back here. So it was last analysis state, if I remember correctly, or last analysis. Let's just go by this, last analysis stats. And we can see it's already populated for us. So it was last analysis stats.
Hello.
Hey. And let's just go back here and see exactly how it was named in our thing, in our JSON format. So let's just go back here. So it was .malicious in our case. And we can see it automatically picks it up. Now in this case, I want to make sure that as soon as more than 10 vendors think that this is a malicious file, then we pose an action, right? Now, if we want to pose an action within Sentinelone, it's very easy as well. It's just a question of, once again, there's a core integration made directly with Sentinelone. So it's just a question of writing Sentinelone, right? It's going to show up all the different things that we can do through Sentinelone. In our case, let's go ahead and kill. So we want to kill the file and possibly quarantine it, remediate, and then do a full rollback, depending, let's say, are we currently ransomed or was it early on within the attack? So as a good failsafe, let's just do the whole thing. So we'll kill, quarantine, remediate, and rollback. But as I said, we can make this our own as well. So kill in this case, and let's go down here. And there is, of course, a filter. Now, in my case, I'm not going to go by agent IDs. I'm going to go by agent UUID, which is a tiny bit different, but we could filter on pretty much anything, right? This is very well documented within the Sentinelone documentation. We can filter by anything that we want. It could be by, you know, which Ethernet port it's connected to, which interface it's connected to, which IP does it have, which public IP, right? It could be anything. In my case, I'm just going to say UUID contains, then I'm going to go ahead and pick up that agent UUID from the original detection itself. So let's just go like here, and let's just write UUID and see what it gives us. And we can see here Singularity response trigger data asset, which is going to be the asset in question that's been ransomed. And we want to grab the agent UUID. Let's just close that. So that's good. That's going to kill it. Now, what about if we want to remediate it? Perfect. There it is. And we'll just do the same thing. And then we'll just paste that in here. So it was UUID. There it is. And finally, do the same thing, but for rollback. Now, of course, during this, maybe we'd want to send out an email to someone, maybe to our ticketing system. As we saw, we can integrate directly with Zendesk, or we can send an email straight to, any email address that you may want, right? So let's do that right after. So UUID contains, and we'll just change it here. Of course, you can template this as well, right? So once you've created something, maybe a block here like mitigate threats, remediate, and remediation, maybe we'd want to have this as a block where we can copy paste it from one workflow to another. That's very possible as well. So things are very easy to manage within hyperautomation. So that's a very basic hyperautomation. Let's add in a couple things here. So maybe we'd also want to send out an email, as we said. Maybe not through email alert, but just a standard email. It's going to be within our core action, send email. Now here, I'm going to send it to myself just to show you. And then subject, we can name it anything, right? And we don't forget, we can grab any fields from the response trigger. So we can do, in this case, we'll just say test, but say new detection within Sentinelone. There it is, new detection in Sentinelone. And then the body, right? What's cool here is that you can use HTML if you'd like to as well. So you can either have plain text, or if you want, you can have your image, you can have links, right? Anything that you may want, which is going to be super useful, right? If you're an MSSP, if you want to brand things, or simply if you want to add links, like I said, maybe you want to add a link to the Sentinelone console where it brings you straight to the threat file, maybe straight to the asset as well, so you can post some actions there. Or maybe, as I said previously, maybe you have different integrations as well. So maybe you want to go straight to looking at the O365 user within the admin portal. Maybe you'd want to have a link in there as well, so it brings you straight into that separate console. In our case, let's just create a little header, H1. Now my HTML is a bit far back, it's a bit rusty, so just bear with me here. So new detection, and then how about let's just close this, and how about we tell it the name of the detection. So we'll just do a break here, and we'll give it some text, right? So we'll say detection or threat detected on, and then we're going to grab the asset name. Maybe that could be useful. So the asset name, so threat detected on the asset with file name, something like that, right? So file.name, right? Could be anything. We could even link to VirusTotal if we wanted to. We don't necessarily need an API key, as we can see here straight from VirusTotal. It just grabs the hash, and that hash is within the URL. So let's grab that, and let's also bring in a link to VirusTotal. Now, a link is like this in HTML. We're just going to remove that specific hash, and we're going to replace it with our own hash. So it's dynamic. And then let's just say VirusTotal analysis. Let's just close that, and we should be good to go. So let's just go through this whole scenario and see if the threat on this computer gets resolved. Now, of course, in this case, we're going to do every single step one by one. But of course, once we activate this for any future threats, it's going to go through that whole scenario for us. Now we're sending an email here. So send detection email, right? We might want to send another one at the bottom, right? So once the detection has been mitigated, maybe send a follow-up telling us, well, this threat has been mitigated. These are the files that we touched. We've remediated 10 out of 10 files or 1,000 files, right? If it's a ransomware. So let's just go through this whole scenario one by one. So let's test the action. So we have a detection here. Let's test the send detection email. Might take a bit of time. So success, that's perfect. Get file analysis. Okay, that's good. So VirusTotal gives us some data. Does it exist within VirusTotal? Yes, we just saw it. Are there more than 10 vendors? Yes, as well. So let's start posing some actions against it. Let's see, what did I break here? Agent UUID contains.
So this is, this is
ahead.
a great, while you look at this, well, this is a great instance of why we test our hyperautomation rules to ensure that every step of the way we have configured it properly, right? So if there was a typo or any type of, misconfiguration, we can then simply tell you that it will be successful along your workflow and making sure that the workflow will work when you put it into an activation mode, right? So this is troubleshooting here, Will's doing, but as you can see from the workflow that he's built, this would, take away a lot of alert fatigue from the SOC team or from the security operations team, and really, mitigate the threats, in an automated fashion for you, and also, do it on a consistent basis. So it's not just one threat; it's all threats that are coming in, right? So we are building all types of different templates and workflows, and then we can also look at your playbooks as well. So if you have playbooks out there that you're, constantly using within your teams, then we can also put them into place here, and we can actually put them into our hyperautomation workflows.
That's correct.
I see a couple of questions here in the chat.
Do we want to jump to the questions, guys, or do you want to just finish the demo?
Yeah. I mean, on my side, I can show how easy it is to fix an issue, right? It's just a question of, we already have 71 different templates for any EDR alert or anything, right? We can see all the integrations. So a lot of times, right, we can just go look at how Sentinelone did it themselves, right? This is a huge one, but maybe I just need to see how they mitigated a threat, right? Maybe I did something that wasn't, right? So here, there it is. I put quotes on my side. I didn't need quotes. So I'm just going to copy paste this on my side, and then I know it's going to work. That's easy as that. So Nick, you can continue where you were going on your side, and I'll just paste this in on my side.
Awesome. We can, while Will's doing that, and in the interest of time here, we can jump to Q&A. And then once Q&A is done, I think there's a cool raffle draft that Assurance IT will be holding here. So let's get started. Will, when you're ready to show kind of the end state, then let us know. But let's start with Q&A.
I mean, if we don't have any questions for the time being, this should work now. So it's just a question of clicking test action. We can see it was a success. Then we would follow up by a remediate. Let's wait, success. And now let's push a rollback as well. Success. It does tell us that there's some mitigation already in action as well. But just going back here, we can see it mitigated. It's going to take a bit of time, right? Because it does have to do a full rollback. But in less than 2-3 minutes, it'll be fully remediated, right? And this, as soon as we're done with the automation, just a question of clicking activate, and that's going to work for everything else in the future. Now, of course, if any of you ever need help creating automations, Assurance IT is always there to help you as well, whether that's finding different use cases or you're not too sure how to create them. We have a bunch of different experts for that situation.
Awesome. So I see a question here in the chat. Is hyperautomation the new XDR? I'm a bit confused. So great question. We have a ton. So over 160 some on marketplace integrations for you to bring in, different types of integrations into the Sentinel-1 console to enrich, your threats. But on the hyperautomation side, we also have integrations. So from the, marketplace integrations, this is where you would bring in integrations to take actions, right? Now, on the flip side of it, hyperautomation, this is where we're automating those actions. And we can do a lot more within hyperautomation than the other integrations that are just, part of the XDR, where we can actually, as Will showed in his demo, we can put conditions in and we can make sure that we do some verification through VirusTotal, just as an example. So we can do a lot more within hyperautomation to ensure that the right threats are being mitigated at the right time and in an automated fashion.
Exactly. And one thing to add on top here is that, yes, we do support a bunch of different vendors, but sometimes there might be a vendor that we don't currently support out of the box. What's easy here is you can just create your own custom integration, right? So it's just a question of creating it and telling it which specific endpoints in terms of API you want to connect to. So how does it do its connection? Which host? How does it do the connection? Is it API based? Is it using username and password? And then you can define some actions. And of course, after that, you can just use those actions in a workflow. Very easy with hyperautomation. And as I've said previously, there's 71 different templates here that you can use as either straight from the get-go, just using it and activating it, or you can make it your own. In my case, I wasn't too sure how to push out a mitigation. So I just came down here, saw how they did it, and then, oh, okay, that makes sense. I made a quick little error, copy pasting, or you can just click use template and change things out as you wish as well. Now this one is a bit complex, but following the structure is usually pretty easy, right? So we have something, it creates an issue within Jira. Is there ransomware? Yes, let's do this, right? Very easy. We can integrate even with Slack or Teams, send out messages, invite users. We can do some employee onboarding. It could be anything.
Yeah, there's one more question here in the chat. As a Sentinel-1 customer, will Assurance IT charge a fee for helping us create automations?
So I'll let Luigi answer that.
Yeah, Nick, I can take that one. So absolutely,
Sure.
Rafael, we do actually have pre-canned engagements where we help customers build these detections. Now, keep in mind that there's predefined detection libraries that have already been built, as William mentioned and demonstrated. But yes, we can definitely help you either in a jumpstart fashion or on an ongoing basis to help with these automations. We can demonstrate that or discuss that subsequently, Rafael.
Yeah, of course. In this case, right, it was a simple automation, but right, with bigger customers comes more complexity, right? You might end up wanting a huge automation, right? So it differs from one automation to another.
Can definitely take that aside.
It is Ernesto. I guess one question that was asked earlier is, can Purple AI help build hyperautomation workflows?
Yeah, that's correct. So anytime we have a threat or anything within Sentinel-1, so as we saw previously on the threat page, we had an automate button. That could also be within XDR. So we see there's a weird alert on our O365 or anything. We can simply ask Purple AI, can you create me an automation where it either ends the user session or maybe forces a password reset? It will help you build out that automation straight from the get-go. Very easy.
Yeah, Purple AI will help you with the building out a template for it, and there will be a little bit of configuration that may need to go into the workflow. But this is where Assurance IT comes into place and can help you with that.
Guys, given the interest of time, like Nick said, I think we're gonna go towards the next steps here. If you guys are okay with that, did you want to add anything, Will, before we move to the next steps?
All good on my side, thank you.
No, just from my side, thank you everybody for joining today. I really appreciate it. And let's get to the raffle draw.
Fantastic. Before we get there, guys, obviously our team's going to be reaching out to everyone on the call here. The appreciation for joining the call. So you're going to be hearing from our team in the next couple of days. If anyone wants to book some time directly with myself, I'm always available. But of course, our team's also available for subsequent follow-ups. I do want to mention, for those who are on the call, we do have a couple of upcoming events. One's going to be our next Lunch and Learn, sponsored by Assurance IT and Commvault. We're going to be talking about how to protect your Active Directory, a very important topic in today's world. So that one's going to be a fun one as well. September 24th, 12 p.m. Eastern.